What's going on, everybody? It's Dan here. Welcome to another DanQ review Supershow. Today I'm doing the very special Summer of Arcade edition of the DanQ review. And basically what that is, for those of you who do not know, Summer of Arcade is a yearly thing that Microsoft does in the summertime, July to August, and they release a lot of, like a ton of arcade games. Usually, most of the time, exclusive to the Xbox 360. So I have a lot of games that are Xbox 360 exclusives today. However, there's one exception. So there's 3 totals. I'll get into all of them. Like usual, you can click under me at any time and skip ahead to a particular review you want to see. Whether, you know, if you don't want to watch a certain one, you're like, you don't care about this game, you don't care, whatever. Or you can let it play out and watch the whole thing. Now, at any rate, let's get started. First game I'm going to talk about is, which way would it be? I don't know, whatever. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater HD. Now, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater HD, I'm actually going to review a little differently. I'm not going to review it based on quality of gameplay, quality of, you know, not so much the gameplay factor, because it is already a game that's been released before, back in the 90s. It's an HD re-release, and HD re-releases, as you guys know, I like to review a little differently than these new platforms. So let me review it in a different manner. You'll see what I mean. All 3 of these reviews are actually going to be a little shorter just because they're arcade games, and I like to speed things up so you guys aren't sitting here for half an hour. Anyways, let's start right away. Summary of Tony Hawk's Pro Skater HD. It is available actually on Xbox 360, PS3, and Windows, or PC, whatever you want to say. Now, why I'm saying this now, why it's a part of Summer of Arcade, it released on the 18th, I believe, of July, whereas PS3 and Windows, it's not even out yet. It actually comes out on the 28th of August. Yeah, that's right. So basically they let it, they gave it a 360 exclusive for over a month, basically. A month and a half. So they could do the Summer of Arcade. So it's currently available on Xbox 360 right now. PS3 users and Windows users, don't worry, it's coming out at the end of August. You'll be able to play it too. However, I got it for Xbox 360, it just made the most sense. Anyways, it is an extreme sports game, obviously, skateboarding, developed by a company known as Robomodo, never heard of them myself, and published by Activision, of course, you have to have that. Okay, so I'm just going to put this on the floor for now, since I'll be talking about it for a little bit. Okay, what do I really think about Tony Hawk's Pro Skater HD? Let me explain a few things about why I'm reviewing this differently. Well, obviously you can't review a game that's based on another game. It's pretty much a replicated version with different graphics. I'm going to base it on what I think. So, in terms of gameplay, what have they, like, for a re-release, what have they done to it? Well, they've changed pretty much nothing. And you're probably thinking, well, that sounds kind of dumb. It's not, though. One of the biggest things about Tony Hawk's Pro Skater HD, for most of my viewers, including myself, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater HD is pretty much a lovely trip down memory lane. Like, I grew up with it. I was, what, 8 years old when the game came out. I played it. I loved it. It made me fall in love with the Tony Hawk genre. I loved skateboarding for those years, many years. In that time, I actually was a skateboarder. I skated from when I was like 8 or 9 all the way till I was like, what, maybe 14? 15, 16, something like that. So I skated for a lot of years, never trying to do anything really good. I was decent in junior high school. I know that sounds funny, but I started just doing it casually, never attempting to be good at anything. But anyway, it was something I enjoyed. The whole thing was really interesting to me, and it still is. I just don't skateboard anymore. So it was a really great thing. Like, they captured the essence of nostalgia. That's the big word here. It is very nostalgic. It makes you feel like, oh God, I'm playing this. I recognize this, but I can see it clearly. Because if you actually go and play the original Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, you're actually like, whoa, big graphical difference. You know, it's really, I loved it in that essence, for sure. Like, anyone who loves, like, even if you don't, okay, that's actually a problem. The problem here is, if anybody has never played Tony Hawk's, let's say you're part of the younger generation. Say you're maybe 10 years old right now, right? So basically, when that game came out, you weren't even born yet. Okay? Fair enough, fair to say. Obviously, I'm speaking in hypotheticals here. A lot of those people may think now playing the games that are available now with the dramatic increase in graphics, in gameplay, in quality, that sort of thing, even difficulty is going to make you think differently about Tony Hawk's Pro Skater HD because it's based off of the original game. So the controls feel the same, the tricks are the same, the difficulties are all the same. Like it's very similar. So when you have, you know, a younger person coming in, they may say, "Oh, it's a bad game. These controls are so weird." Well, that's how they were. That's how games were. They were way harder back in the day. Especially in the 90s and 80s and 90s, you know, they were. I mean, I was born in the 90s, not too late. I was in 1991, but I was enough to get a lot of the good games in there, you know, to understand that games were really a lot difficult back then, especially these old school games like all the side scrollers, platformers. They were difficult, and like they gave you one life to go through the entire game, kind of stuff. You know what I mean? It was ridiculous. But nowadays, you're kind of, you know, fed with a spoon in terms of games now. But that's the thing. I think everyone should try this game out, even if you've never played it, you're part of the younger generation, whatever. I really think you should, just because of that nostalgic feel. But it also, not just because of that, but it opens up people who may not have played this game back in the day, or have never been alive for that matter, to feel what games were like, at least give you an idea of where these current games now came from. You know, it's like in history, you know, like history class. You have to know where you come from if you want to know where you're going. I get that philosophy. I don't think I need it. Obviously, I'm Canadian. We never had history. We had social studies. But regardless, this is completely off topic. Let's talk about the game some more. So it's very nostalgic. It covers that nostalgia aspect a lot. Okay, what else I want to mention that I loved so much? One of my favorite aspects of the game. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater has one of the most memorable soundtracks ever. Each song I played, each time I played, I recognized each song. Like, I jammed out to each song because I remembered them all. And, like, you know, especially Goldfinger by, Superman by Goldfinger. Sorry, I flipped that. That old school ska punk song, you know, the ba-da-ba-ba-ba-ba, you know, you can't forget that song. You had, you know, like, I don't know, there's just so many songs that you're just like, okay. You know, like Public Enemy with, I believe they were with Anthrax, featured Anthrax, the heavy metal version of Bring the Noise. It was all like a huge trip down memory lane. I love the soundtrack. Soundtrack is awesome in this game. I really loved it. And anybody who's played the old game, you guys are going to just love it too. Another thing I want to say, this isn't actually, like, opposed to what the title says, this isn't actually just Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1. This also includes levels from Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2 as well. And from what I heard, there's a DLC in the works to cover levels from Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3, which I might do, I'm not sure yet. But it combined the best of levels of these two games, not necessarily all of them. Like from Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1, they left out the school. You know, they have School 2, but not School 1, because School 2 was more memorable and everyone loved that more. But there was a bunch of other like classic levels, again, the nostalgic feel. Another thing that I liked that they added, obviously now in today's age, things are a little better. Okay, let's look at the graphical features. Graphically, did they do a good job? Of course they did. I like honestly, the thing is, graphically, they pretty much mimicked each level identically, except with way better graphics. The thing is, they had to redo it. They were based off a model, but they had to redo the graphics from ground up, essentially. All the original challenges are there. It's just unbelievably awesome. And another thing I like, they added, obviously, today's day and age, we have the internet. You know, we have, I should say, a more advanced internet. There was internet back then, but it was when you had to dial up, and, you know, you can't use the phone if you're on the internet. You know, classic stuff. I remember that, you know. It was really ghetto, but that's how it was. So there was no such thing as Xbox Live or PSN or anything of that nature. There's nothing like that. So they introduced a multiplayer aspect, which I really love. So instead of having to play a split screen with your buddy, or, you know, just a take turns kind of thing, you actually can play online all these game types and all these levels with people online. And the multiplayer is actually really fun. I enjoyed it. So I gotta say, I'm happy with how this game delivered this thing. Is it worth... This is one of those things where I like to bring value into the play. You are playing a game that's, yes, it's a new game, but it's based on an old game. So when value comes in, is it worth the money to play a game that you played however long ago? This game will probably bank you at about, I think it's 1,200 Microsoft points, which, depending what region you're in or where you are, let me think. 1,200, I believe, is like $15 to $18, somewhere in there. So for $15 to $18, this game is definitely worth the money. Negatively, I have like nothing to say about it because it's like just like the old game, except with better graphics and secrets and abilities. You know, and new skateboarders too. It's not just the original skaters. They have the original skaters. Not all of them. Like they don't have Alyssa Steamer. They don't have Kareem Campbell. I don't believe they don't have. Rune Glifberg, you know, people like that. Jeff Rowley, I don't think is in it. I can't remember. But they added all these new people, which is kind of not as cool. But that doesn't really make a difference because I just played as Tony Hawk. I mean, who cares really, right? But they put Tony's son Riley in it as well. Riley. He's the older son, and that was pretty cool. You know, they had the abilities and everything. You leveled them up, and it was classic THPS. So, what am I going to rate Tony Hawk's Pro Skater HD? I like this game. However, I can't. Like, the thing is, people say, "Oh, Dan, you didn't say anything wrong with it, right? Therefore, it must be a perfect game." That doesn't warrant it a perfect game. But I would like to give you, because the thing is, while the game is good and really entertaining, you're going to love it, the game won't last you very long unless you played the same thing over and over, like with each character, because that is one way of doing it. But you don't really want to be doing the challenges over and over, do you? No, of course not. So I'm going to give this game what I feel it deserves, an 8.5 out of 10. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I think anybody who played Tony Hawk's Pro Skater back in the day like I did, you're definitely going to like this title, and I do recommend you pick it up because it is very cheap, and it's like a quick download. You'll have a lot of fun with it, and I think anybody, like I said... Hold on. Oh, I noticed something. Never mind. Forget it. Forget it. Anybody will really like it, and I do think you'll like it. Even if you're a younger generation, try it out. This is where the games came from. Skateboarding games pretty much started here. Obviously, there were other games, but this was the one that really kicked it off. So, I liked it. 8.5 out of 10. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater HD. Let me bend down and get my notebook that I dropped, and it's blurry. Come on. Hello. This camera this was a $1,600 camera, and yet it's bright. Come on, man. I'm right here. Hello. Hello. Come on, dude. It won't focus. Focus! Focus! Guys, it won't focus. This is fucking ridiculous. Come on. Hello. Hello. It's supposed to have the best there. Finally. It's supposed to have the best tracking thing ever. Like, I mean, it's good, but when it loses you, I don't know. Not all cameras are perfect anyway. Anyway, let's move on to the second game. What a failure that was. Next game, I covered definitely a new medium. I'm referring to Deadlight. Now, what is Deadlight exactly? I'll get into a little bit. Basically, it's a new medium, okay? I keep saying that, and I don't really want to spoil anything now, so we'll just get right into the summary here. So Deadlight is available on only Xbox 360. This is one of the arcade exclusives. It is a platformer, survival horror, and side-scroller game, and it is developed by Tequila Works and published by Microsoft Studios, so Microsoft in general. Hold on, I'm going to try to stay in frame while I toss that. Don't fall. Thank you. Okay. Getting that might be a little harder. Should probably put something here so I can just grab it, but I'm an idiot. Whatever. Anyway, let's talk about this game. Basically, it's like it said, it's a side-scroller survival horror, and survival horror, basically, it's a zombie game. It's completely original. I've never seen something like this before. I've seen ideas like it, but this one takes the cake for a really great original game. So let's start off. First off, what did I like about it? Well, the game obviously is completely original. I haven't seen anything like it, and I mean, yeah, there have been side scrollers and platformers before, but in this kind of graphical age and this kind of story type, it's very, you know, unique, and you never see something like it. So the originality of this game is really quite amazing, and I really like what they did with this, for sure. So I was happy with what they did with Deadlight, for sure, in terms of originality. What's the story like? Well, the story is different. I mean, it's kind of like, since it's an arcade title, you gotta come in and pick up from where you left off. Basically, you know, you're given up to speed in a matter of one cutscene. You're introduced to 5 characters, I believe, 5 or 6 characters, survivors, and you just basically find out what's happening with them, but you don't really know how they got together, how this outbreak really started, etc., etc. And that's why it's kind of confusing. Because the storyline, you do kind of get it, you get the gist of it. You're a father based in 1986, Seattle, Washington, where the zombie thing, like zombie apocalypse is pretty much happening, and there's survivors, and you end up finding there's enemies that aren't zombies. You know, it's really kind of weird, and you don't really understand really why it's happening, what they're doing exactly, or at all. You know what I mean? So, like, you get the basis. You're trying to find your family and stuff. That's the main goal, finding your family, and that it's just like a lot of other these zombie things. So in terms of storyline, it was confusing, a little bit confusing. You're not really introduced to it that well. You're kind of not brought up to speed yet. You know what I mean? Like, it's kind of here and there, back and forth kind of stuff. So, like I said, it's weird, and you're mainly playing it for the gameplay. So I would like to talk about the gameplay, the platforming. I would like to mention that it is pretty cool. Like, there's puzzles and things, you know, like you have to find a way to get up to there by sometimes, you know, moving a crate, or, you know, to me it felt like Limbo with zombies. A lot of people made that comparison as well. Limbo with zombies, and if you see the gameplay, you'll understand exactly what I'm talking about. It's got kind of a dark atmosphere, you know, not like, except it's with like live voices and there's people talking, but it's there are puzzles, not as tough as Limbo, but you know, it keeps the game going, because the thing is, this is also a shooter. You have weapons and things like that as well, which make it that much more different and unique. So the gameplay is really interesting. I like the platforming. It was really quite fun. However, on the same notion, the platforming, the controls of it are kind of loosey-goosey, and in a platformer that can make or break you. And what I mean is, a few times I would try to, let's say, my character had to jump to a platform or a ledge that I had to jump and grab right above me. Sometimes my character would, instead of just going boom, he'd go whoa, and jump completely off the wall I was on, and I'd die, or jump in the complete opposite direction. Or when I was running, you know, you'd misjudge how much speed you have or how far you are. You jump. If you hit it just a little bit too late or a little too early, it would completely screw you. So the controls were definitely a little wonky, and they were a little difficult at times to like do the platforming element. But overall, it was pretty solid in that aspect. But I can't remember how many times I failed in that series, just because of I'm not saying it wasn't due to me being an idiot. Obviously, I'm an idiot in almost every game I play, and I'm blind to stuff. But at the same time, there were a few times where I got screwed, and I know I did, because of controls not being all there. They're kind of loosey-goosey, you know what I mean? So in that aspect, it was okay, but it wasn't that spectacular. Okay, so that's that. Yeah, the controls kind of slowed you down, but I covered storyline, and I covered the gameplay, and, you know, basically all that wonderful stuff. Something else I would like to mention. Okay, let's go into value. Again, this game is gonna run you at $1,200, so 15 to 18 bucks. Now I rate these games as arcade titles, not rating them as a full release. You can't compare these to full releases, okay? You can, in some ways, and I'll explain. Basically, this game, like I said, 15 to 18 bucks, is gonna be around, let's see, how long? Maybe 3 hours long. All it is a single player thing. There's no multiplayer whatsoever. It's a story mode. And a lot of people say, well, usually with story modes there are collectibles. There are collectibles. On my first run through of the game, I found, I think it was, I looked at my stats, and I think I found 94% of all collectibles. Just by looking. They're that easy. So, does it have much replay value? Not really, because once you're done with it, you're kind of done with it, you know, like, you've played the story mode, you get it. Sometimes the controls can be kind of annoying, you know, and you're just like, I don't really want to do it again. So, unfortunately, that is what, you know, that's unfortunate. I can't really explain it other than that, just because there's not a whole lot in there. I mean, like, the collectibles, yeah, it's wonderful, and I probably could have gone back and got the ones that I didn't get, but there's only a few things, so what would be the point? I'd be done, you know, whatever, right? I've had to have everything done. So, because of that, it doesn't make it all that great. You know, it's not much playability. You feel kind of, whatever. I mean, obviously, 3 hours is a little low for a full retail, but some games are only 4 hours and they're full retail. So you got to compare it in that sense. It's an arcade game. That's what it is, right? So anyways, let's just recap really fast what I'm talking about here. The game's got definitely original. It's definitely original. You have a really great. You have sorry, I'm losing my train of thought here. The game's original. You have the gameplay is pretty solid. It's fun. It's fun to platform. You know, that sort of thing. The puzzles are really interesting, and the gameplay keeps it going. But on the other side of the fence, the storyline's a little confusing to follow and difficult to catch up on. Even when you've been caught up, you still don't really understand what's really happening in the big picture. It's never truly explained. And above that, you know, the gameplay's replay value isn't that high. You don't have, you do have kind of annoying controls at times, you know, that kind of stuff. So I did like this game, though. I want people to know that it is a game that's really interesting. And if you've never seen this type of platform, you know, you've seen a bit of gameplay of mine, you liked it, I would recommend going for it. However, if you've seen mine, you're like, nah, that's good enough for me, I've seen it, I don't need to play this. You know, you might as well save the 15 to 18 bucks, right? But anyway, I'm going to rate, I still enjoyed it. Like I said, I rate my games different. It's not an average game, it's above average. So I'm going to give Deadlight a 7 out of 10. I think that's a solid. It's above average. It's a definitely unique platform, but at the same time, the controls and the story were really weird, and it just made it a little more difficult. There's not much replay value, so that's my thoughts there. Okay, so that is, let's get that game out of here for now. Now try and get this one, trying to stay in frame. Maybe I'll use a foot. Hold on, I'll get it. No, don't lose me. I'm here. Here, okay. Just kidding. It's not that bad. I'm just being an idiot. Anyways, alright, let's move on to the final game of the night of the Summer of Arcade special of this DanQ Review Super Show. So, I am of course talking about Hybrid, the multiplayer only game. Pretty much just been grown up from the roots. Developer, brand new developer. Definitely new platform, definitely unique. I'll get into it in just a second. Let's talk about the summary. Okay, obviously Hybrid is only available on Xbox 360. Xbox 360 exclusive, just like Deadlight was for the Summer of Arcade special. It is a third-person shooter developed by a brand new developer, their first game ever, Fifth Cell, that is the developer, and it is published by nobody. I'm not even kidding you, it wasn't even published by anybody. This is a excuse me. This is a no-name game, and no publisher. They had no really real marketing, other than a few some things at E3 last year, I believe. I'm the only gameplay Let's Player walkthrough out there that covered this game. Just to give you guys an idea how small it was, but it was new. It looked interesting to me. I wanted to try it out. Now myself, you guys know me. I'm more of a single player guy. I like a single player story, and I usually kind of avoid multiplayer only games. However, there's some things about this game that I'm glad I picked it up. Okay, so Hybrid, multiplayer only. Completely unique idea. Everyone's like, oh, third-person shooters are so the same. You know, it just looks like Halo. They're wearing helmets that have glass on them. They're futuristic. They copied Halo. God, no. This game is not like that, okay? I mean, I've heard people say that about it, but if you've played it, you'll know that's not the case, okay? This game is one of the most unique third-person shooters I've played in a long time. Let me explain why I say that. First things first. You know how this basic, movement, you're on a 3D plane, blah, blah, blah? None of that. You're actually cover to cover. The only time you move really is when you're firing or whatever, and when you're sliding about whatever cover you're on. Now stop right there. I know what you're thinking. What? That's ridiculous. No, it is actually really fun. Because the thing is, you're a futuristic soldier, right? And you're basically fighting between two factions. The Paladins and the Variants. Obviously, I'm on Paladin. I like to be the good guys. I'm just weird. It's just sporting the blue today anyway. And they're the blue versus red, essentially. And basically, cover-to-cover combat. The way you move is your character has a jetpack on his back, and you can... Okay, let's say, for example, here's one piece of cover, and I'm on this side of it, okay? Here's another piece of cover. There's a guy on this side, my enemy. I can, if I want to, if there's a cover in the middle, say, I could either jump to this cover, and while I'm flying, I could skip it landing and go to this next one, or I could just stay there and use some shooting tactics. It's so much to say about the game in terms of their gameplay. Like, the gameplay is so awesome. Like, I mean, for example, you launch, okay? You're launching. you could completely do a full 360 to shoot behind you, shoot sideways, shoot in front of you, shoot this way, and shoot up in the sky, shoot below you. Complete movement while you're changing covers. And say, for example, you do make it to the cover where your enemy is on. You could peek over, shoot the shit out of them, just like that. Or you can have, there are kill streaks in this game, but they're way easier to get and they make the game way faster and more entertaining. At 1 kill, you get basically, it's a sentry drone. Basically, it just follows you side by side, shoots simultaneously with you, so it's double the damage. I think it's, 3 kills, you get something called the, stuck there. Anyway, you get something called the Warbringer. Sorry, it slipped my mind for a second. The Warbringer, which is basically a big robotic bot. Obviously, a robotic thing. Wow. A robot that's essentially following you around, kind of scouts for you. It doesn't stay stuck to you like the drone does, or sentry. I can't remember what they call it. Striker, I think it's called. I don't remember. Who gives it? Screw it. Anyway, it basically scouts the area, it goes into battle where basically the enemy, it'll find the enemy essentially slowly and provide you support. It's got stronger weapons and things like that. Then at 5 kills, this is a kill streak of course without dying, you'll get the Praeon. The Praeon is essentially a special ops woman who is essentially a heat seeker. You say, okay, you tell her to attack, she'll essentially fly in and take out one enemy in an instant kill. If you're in its path, you better kill it, or you're dead. Like, I don't know how many times I got screwed over by a Praeon when I was dominating, you know, it was just ridiculous. But the fact that the kill streaks were different, they were easier to get, making the game quicker and more fun. You know, you got these crazy, like for example, let's look at Call of Duty. I hate bringing up Call of Duty because I know people are going to shit on my ass. Like, I mean, I don't know why I said that, but you know what I mean. And about it, they have kill streaks for people who aren't as good as Call of Duty that seem unobtainable, you know what I mean? Like the nuke where it just ends the game. 50-0 you have to get, I think, or 25-0 or something like that. I can't remember. It's been a while since I played Call of Duty like religiously. But that makes the game a little bit out of reach. And you're like, oh, I gotta work so hard just to get that. This game allows you to dominate early on. This is one of the multiplayer games where I was a beast in, okay? I was good at this game. This kind of game felt good to me. I really enjoyed it. So, gameplay is great. It's phenomenal, top-notch. I really enjoyed it. People are overlooking this game, which is really, really unfortunate here. But however, I can't say it's a perfect game. Not even close. There are a few things that make the game kind of annoying in a sense. And it has nothing to do with the actual gameplay. It has to do with the servers, okay? Alright, let's talk about the elephant that was in my console when I was playing hybrid. I'm just talking about it now. And that is, of course, the servers. The thing is, after one match, which wouldn't necessarily take very long, you would actually get kicked out to the menu, essentially, and you'd have to start a new playlist. There are different playlists. You can do no preference. You can just go Team Deathmatch only. There was the Mercenaries, which included Team Deathmatch. What else was there? Crap. There's a few game modes. There's different game mode playlists. Okay, you'd start that again. It could take, I remember I was looking for a game for 20 flipping minutes, and it was ridiculous because people are playing this game. There's a lot of people online here with this game. You know, it just didn't get as much attention as some other games did. So these people are online here, and they're playing, but the servers, like, sometimes I'd have it would kick me right to the main menu and say, these servers are not available right now, please try again later. Like, it was pretty funny because I'm trying to get into a game and waiting. I'd actually have to cut. Normally what I like to do is record in 4 parts, so usually an hour to an hour and a half as one segment, so leave it recording for 1 hour or an hour and a half, you know, in that region, and split it into 4 quadrants. I've had to stop them after like 10 minutes even, you know, because I didn't want to have you guys watching nothing to the best of my ability. Like, I mean, obviously there's not much I could have done in certain points, but at the same time, it was kind of bad, so like I had to stop it. Servers needed to work, obviously though. New developer, obviously you're going to make some mistakes. That was one of them. Another thing I want to say, the playlists, for example, there was one called Objective, which did your King of the Hill and your Tactics, which was essentially attack and defend, you know, things like that. I wanted to get all game modes covered for my gameplay series so you guys could see it all, and I would constantly be refreshing the objective thing. It would find me a room, and for some reason these people that were in the objectives thing would either, there was 2 things that would happen. You're given a choice to vote on, the map and the game type, okay? And the map would coincide with the game type. So if you wanted, let's say you wanted King of the Hill on this map, there'd be one choice. You wouldn't get to choose individually. But anyway, sometimes what you'd see is King of the Hill, tactics, and then for some reason Team Deathmatch was thrown in there, even though you didn't want a Team Deathmatch game, like, you know, you're the playlist you searched on. And all these wingdings just want to kill people. Like, they join the playlist like, ooh, Team Deathmatch, we get to murder people, yay! And they'll just pick that, spam it, and I joined an objective game trying to get objective, and I ended up playing Team Deathmatch. Like, it was really frustrating because it took me half an hour. Then I'm giving you half an hour to get into a game type where people weren't spamming Team Deathmatch. Or one time I joined objective, my only options were Team Deathmatch, Team Deathmatch, Team Deathmatch on different maps. It was ridiculous. I was like, my God, all I want to do is play King of the Hill, tactics, whatever the game type was, artifact. It was not a no-go, okay? It was really quite a pain in the ass. And that really needed to be, if they're making that playlist, make it work for whatever they're trying to search for, okay? It's pretty straightforward. And finally, after playing it a lot, while the gameplay is good, the gameplay is very similar, okay? It's repetitive, let's just say, okay? If you play for hours on end, I don't really see how you can. Actually, one person got to the highest rank, level 50, in one day, in the first day it released. Like, how do you do that? I mean, I had fun and all, but I paced myself. I played maybe a couple hours every couple days. Like, I didn't play, like, constantly. Like, even an hour and a half, and I just uploaded what parts I could. And I don't see myself constantly playing this game down the road, you know what I mean? But other than that, this game is really fun. I think it's one of the most original games, multiplayer games I've ever played in a long time. It's not getting the what do you want to say? The exposure it really deserves. A lot of people are overlooking it, and I think it's a mistake. So I think everyone should at least try Hybrid. But great gameplay, original idea. Entertaining. It is worth the 1,200, I'd say. The 1,200 Microsoft points, it is good for your value. There is a lot of replayability if you enjoy it. Obviously, multiplayer games are always replayable, right? If they're good. But on the negative side, I don't want to count it out. The negative side, servers need a lot of work. The matchmaking needs to be improved to search whatever you want to search. And finally, it does get a bit repetitive. So I'm going to rate this game, even though I love it, there are negatives. So I'm going to say that Hybrid gets a 7.5 out of 10. I know people are like, whoa, Dan, you're praising the game. Well, yeah, I love the gameplay when I could play it. I mean, like I'm saying, you guys didn't necessarily see live. Like the stuff where you saw me waiting and I kept it in the video, you guys were upset, like, you should cut that out. And I'm like, I know, but you can also skip ahead in the video. But that's not the point. I stopped it when I realized, okay, this isn't going to work. And I would literally be searching for 15 to 20 minutes each time just to get into a game of 3 versus 3 where it only lasts maybe 8 minutes tops, 8 to 10 minutes for a match, which is pretty short considering. So that's why it's a 7.5. Still a game I think you guys should check out. I'm sure they'll update the servers and make it easier to play. Definitely worth checking out. So that's it for my Summer of Arcade edition of the DanQ review, the Supershow. I hope you guys enjoyed my gameplay of these games. I am really excited to see what's coming up next with Sleeping Dogs and Darksiders 2 coming up tomorrow. Although, by the time, depending when you watch this, it could be completely past that date, most likely. But anyways, thanks guys. I hope you enjoyed this review. I hope it allowed you to make a decision. I'm Dan, of course, the sexiest man on YouTube. And the flyest, of course. Pop that collar, son. Okay, I look like Dracula here. Anyway. Alright, I'm done. Okay, thanks guys. Take it easy. Have a good day. Or night. And I'll see you with more gameplay soon. And yeah. Like, comment, favorite, subscribe. It helps out. Anyway, I drone on. Take it easy guys. Have a good one. And I'll see you next time.